Lekker meneer, ons is in die kombuis vanoggend with Chef Lexie. And today we're going to be using two very special spices in our recipes. We're using nutmeg and mace. We're going to start off with a spiced nut and seed brittle. That sounds beautiful. Lexie, how are you doing this morning?
Very well, thank you.
Cool, man. So we've got a sticky concoction going up here already.
What we're going to do is we're going to start over here. It's a very, very simple recipe, which is one of my favorites.
Okay.
We're going to start with our sugar. We're basically going to put all of our ingredients straight into the pot, minus our nuts and spices. So we're going to put our sugar in there,
Okay.
our water, a little bit of
Just something
salt.
sweet to start off your Tuesday morning, which is great.
Got our butter. And our glucose. Now, if you don't have glucose syrup in your pantry, don't panic. You can substitute it with the equal quantity of golden syrup. So
can you?
It's not an absolute necessary thing. The reason that we do put the glucose in here is that the glucose actually stops the sugar from crystallizing. So you're going to get a beautiful, glossy, smooth finish, as opposed to a kind of a crumbly, crystally finish.
Because that's what you want. You want a nice sticky.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you to give this a nice stir, and we need to completely dissolve the sugar before we get any kind of heat on that.
Okay.
While you're over here, I've got a little ramekin. In this ramekin, we're going to put half a teaspoon of bicarb, a quarter teaspoon of cinnamon, a quarter teaspoon of nutmeg,
That's it. This our ingredient of the day.
and a quarter teaspoon of mace. So we're just going to give it a nice stir. Ideally, we would sieve this all together, but not this morning.
So what is? I'm not too familiar on nutmeg, the spice, because personally I haven't used it in a lot of recipes.
Nutmeg, the most classic use of nutmeg is the hot cross bun. So it's a beautiful soft spice, goes very well with things like orange and kind of sweeter things. So nutmeg is really, really delicious. You find it in the shops in, it looks like a nut. So you can either get the ground one or you can buy the whole nut and you just grate it.
Wow, and it's got a long, rich history as well. I was just reading something interesting. Several hundred years ago, it was one of the most valuable spices around. And when it came to the actual nutmeg nuts, I think it's grown where? In Indonesia?
I'm actually not sure, to be honest.
Around the Indonesian areas. So a few nutmeg nuts could be sold for enough money to actually enable financial independence for life in London. Can you believe that? Just a handful of nuts could be sold for that much money.
Gosh, we would be rich this morning then.
Right? And now it's easily and readily available.
Yes,
for everyone
right.
to use.
As you see over here, we've mixed our sugar and syrups all together, and we've got a nice smooth mixture.
Yeah.
We're going to take our sugar thermometer, which we've got in this already prepared syrup.
Brilliant.
You're going to put it in there and just leave your sugar syrup to boil and bubble, and you ideally want it to reach all the way up to 142 degrees.
Okay. If you don't have one of those fancy thermometers at home,
you need to get one. If you're going to be making sweets,
there's no guessing.
There's no guessing, because if it's too hot, it's going to be a burnt, bitter mass, and if it's too soft, you're going to be left with a huge pile of toffee.
Great. Okay, so this is the most important part to get right out of this whole recipe.
Yes, you want to be very precise when sweet making, otherwise the results can be absolutely terrible.
Awesome. So it's our spiced nut and seed brittle this morning. You can SMS the keyword nut to 33728. And we'll send you on the Pick and Pay shopping list.
I'm going to move this over here so that everybody can see what I'm doing over there.
Great. So this one has been done already.
This one we've left on the stove to bubble and boil.
All right.
We're just going to bring it up to a little bit more heat.
Great.
Over here we've got some beautifully roasted cashew nuts. Make sure you don't get the salted ones.
All right. You don't want to add that extra salt.
A lot of people make that error, and they've got quite a bit of salt. And we've got some stunning pumpkin seeds over here.
Great.
So this is slowly coming up to boil. Once your sugar has reached 142 degrees, just be very careful, because usually these are boiling hot.
And you do not want to get any of the syrup on your hands, your fingers, your skin, anywhere. All right.
Okay, then we're going to take our nuts, get those ready. Over here we've got our spices and our bicarb.
That's it. That's
Pour
our
them into your
nutmeg
mixture.
and mace.
Now just be careful when you stir in your cinnamon and your spices, because every now and again it bubbles all the way up. Don't get a fright. Just let it bubble, then mix in all of your spices.
It's got a festive smell.
The moment it hits the warm temperature, it kind of cooks and you get this beautiful aroma.
Lovely.
Right, so we've got our spices in. Chuck in our nuts.
So the nuts go actually into the hot
And
mixture.
our seeds.
Oh, wow. This is
Mix it all up
looking
nicely.
lovely. Now we need to get it out.
Yes.
All right.
Now this brittle is not meant to be paper thin, so don't get
There we go.
concerned when you can't flatten it out. I usually just flatten it out as best I can.
Yeah.
You can put another sheet of paper over your brittle and roll it out with a rolling pin, but I
Yeah.
quite like that it's got quite a rustic sort of a look to it.
Yeah.
And there's your brittle. So just leave it out until it gets completely
Okay.
cool. Don't be tempted to try and crack it while it's still warm, otherwise you're going to get a very,
Exactly.
it's going to be very difficult.
So you want to let it cool down properly.
Completely. So
That's
right
it.
over here we've got a cool one. This
Look
also
at
makes
that.
a really beautiful gift. So what you can do is just break it up
There we go. There
into
we go.
some shards. You can cut it with a knife if you want a cleaner line, but I think
Yes.
it's quite pretty.
It's
when
nice to have
done
it broken in pieces like that.
rustically.
That's it.
And then
Lexi,
we have our brittle.
thank you so much. So for your nut and seed brittle, you can SMS the keyword nut to 33728. We'll send you on the Pick and Pay shopping list as well as a link to the recipe so that you can make this lovely sticky goodness at home. Lexi, once again, thank you so much. I'm going to indulge in this while we go to a quick ad break. We'll see you on the other side.
It's at the All Seasons Milk Factory where we found goodness produced on a daily basis. Pick and Pay, always there for you.